Because we've already, let's start from 15 on down, and then we'll go from there. It says, beware, Matthew 7, 15 on down. It says, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raving wolves. You will know them by their fruit. The man gather grapes from thorn bush or figs from thistles. Even so, every good tree bears good fruit. The bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Teresa, 19.
Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness.
24.
Therefore, whoever hears these things saying of mine, of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on the house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock.
26.
But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on the house, and it fell. And great was its fall.
28, 29,
And so it was. Then Jesus had ended these saying that the people were astonished at his teaching. For he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes.
And so guys, here's where if you had your paper, I hope if you don't, then I don't have it anymore. But Matthew 7, I wanted you to see this. I've got hearing instructions. He's going to talk about a house, right?
Yeah.
But before he talks about a house, he talks about fruit. Verse 20, he says, therefore by fruit you will know them, right?
Yeah.
He says in 21, he says, and not everyone
Yeah. Who says to me, Lord, Lord,
shall not enter, shall enter.
Yeah, the
kingdom of heaven.
But he who does the will of my Father in heaven.
Then he says what?
Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name?
This is where I am at. This is where I'm at. Have you ever looked at that text? Have you ever asked yourself what that text means? I've made the statement, I made it to the class also this morning. You know what, guys? It's okay to me to fear, meaning to reverence the Lord. It's not okay to be afraid, or to be what we would call afraid. So then, the question then is this. Listen to what he has said, and then see if you can help me to understand what's going on. He says, not everyone who says to me, Lord. See it? Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, right? But he who does the Father's will, or the will of my Father, in heaven, which is in heaven, right? So what is he saying then? Because if you look at this, what was he talking about prior? He was talking about prior about fruit, right? Us bearing fruit, right? And then he called, prior to that, he called them what? False teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then he says, so in 17 it says, so even so the good fruit bears what? Bears good fruit. But a bad
Tree
bears
bad fruit.
So then he comes down and then he says, and not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter. Let me ask you something. Both parties are delivering what? Fruit. See, look at it. Both parties are delivering fruit. But he calls one's fruit, he calls it what?
Good.
Good.
And then the other one he calls it what?
Bad.
I wonder what he's talking about. Because then he goes down here and he says, Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord. See it?
Uh-huh.
Have we not prophesied in your name, right?
Cast out demons in your name.
Come on,
many
see that?
wonders in your name.
So then, what does that sound like? We know for a fact that it's not a non-believer. We know for a fact it is a believer. Believers that he's talking about. Just like I think you asked last week, Teresa, the ideal of this heaven. These levels of heaven, remember? Yeah, like these levels of heaven. Well, listen to what Jesus is saying. This ain't Brother Thompson. This is what Jesus is saying. Jesus is saying, these are believers who are going to come to him and say, didn't I do many things in your name? These are believers. What's the issue here that's causing them not to enter into the kingdom of heaven?
Bad fruit. Bearing bad fruit.
You got it. So then, my hooping and hollering, right? All this me been telling you all guys, we got to go out and bring souls to Christ. Remember you've been hearing me hoop and holler about that for the longest, right?
Yeah.
I know I says, I think even Dwayne even mentioned, that it becomes a broken record. It just goes over and over and over. No one wants to hear it. You will that day. On that day, you would have said, "Oh my God, that broken record was not a broken record. That record was a warning that God has called us to understand what we must do." So he's made the statement. Then Jesus turns around after he talks about this fruit. Then he says, "Look what some of this fruit has done." He says, some of this fruit, he says, many, look at it again, look what some of this fruit has done. He says, what is it? Not everyone, 21, see it? Not everyone who says to me, what?
Lord, Lord.
What is Lord, Lord? What is the Lord?
Master.
Master. So not everybody that has called me Master, and then he stamps it and says, Master again, right? He stamps it again and says, Master, Master. So he's saying, Jesus is saying, then you need to understand, you believers who have keep running around here hollering about you love me, he says, I want you to see what's going to happen. Because if you loved me, then you would have bore fruit. Then you would have produced fruit. Then you would have brought, am I wrong?
Good fruit.
Right, okay, I like that one. Then you would have produced good fruit. Yes.
But I think I see a little bit of,
Go ahead.
even though they prophesied in his name,
Come on.
they bought fruit with bad fruit, but because it was their agenda, it was their intention.
Listen to what you're saying, Dwayne. Or could it be also this? Because you've been told, and maybe this may be the issue, we need to bring other folks to the church. It became a job. Did you hear me? I gotta do this because I want to be saved. So I got to do this. So I'm going to do this. I speak of those that have been married or are married. When your marriage becomes a job, and it can become a job, right? And if you don't watch it, who wants a marriage that's a job? Because now, ask yourself, don't you get tired of your regular job? Don't you at times don't you want to be there at your regular job? So, you know what I'm saying? So stop and think about it. So you don't want your marriage to become a job, and neither do God want his works to become a job. So Brother Thompson been beating us down about we need to go out and bring souls to Christ. And then, you know what, so now that I've brought souls to Christ, that's your text, and now that I brought souls to Christ, many will say to me on that day, see what I'm saying? Now, I brought souls to Christ, but you didn't do this out of love, you did this out of fear. You were afraid that if I don't do what God tells me to do, I'm going to hell. What does God want to have with us? A relationship, right? A love, I like that even better. a love relationship. So what do you mean? My wife says to me the first time, honey, I don't like the trash overflowing. Cause I love her, I won't forget that. See what I'm saying? I won't forget that. And what will I do? Make sure that trash is empty. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Me?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, because that was going to ricochet Karen's back. But, yeah, I was going to say that our love for Christ is not based on our talk. It's based on our walk. Because building that relationship requires me to walk in a number of things. For example, I have to walk in love. I have to walk in a lot of these things that I'm not accustomed to. And this world doesn't show me how to do what is aligned myself with God. It's always contrary to, and that's where the work is required. But it's not work for the sake of an act.
Go ahead.
And so a lot of times, I can't bring somebody to Christ because I'm not walking with Christ.
Gotcha. Or watch this. Or bring somebody to Christ, but it's a work. Hear me? But it's a work. You say, I don't understand. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? But what you've done is you've made it a job.
Your heart is in there.
That's what I'm saying. I got to do this. So look, I got so-and-so here. Look, I got this person here. So this should silence this. Well, God is saying, yeah, you did prophesy in my name. Yeah, you did do many wonderful things in my name. You did do these things. But you didn't do them. It wasn't out of your heart. It was out of you were afraid to go to hell. That's what it was about. So because of that, God says, that's unacceptable. By the way, I paid you when you did that. If nothing else, you were looking for Brother Thompson to say, you're right, you're bringing souls to Christ. So you were looking for that. So you got your accolades. You got your acknowledgement. So that's what you wanted. That's what you got. But if you did it out of your heart, then you walked up to somebody as you communicated with that person, you recognize that that person needs Christ. You did this out of the love. You didn't want this person to go to hell. That was your agenda. I don't want this person to go. So that's not a job. That is now doing the work of God without making it a work. Yes?
Yeah, fruit, this is just to say, fruit can look like a number of things. But here it says, every good tree.
Right.
See, we're not looking at the tree.
Right.
Bears good fruit.
Right. Right.
And oftentimes, before we can see the tree, we're looking at the fruit.
Gotcha. No, does it make sense? And that tree is who? It's you.
Yeah.
That tree is you. And so I don't understand why I'm not marrying people, why other people aren't coming to me. Well, they're not coming to you because
They see that tree.
your tree is your behavior. Your tree is your attitude. They see this.
The conduct.
Like you said, your conduct, your mannerism. How much do you love the Lord? How much when you come, watch this, your agenda when I come to worship, I don't just barely make it. I'm racing. I really want to be here. You don't realize it, and I don't mean to knock nobody today. Just telling like it is. But how you approach that, you don't realize it. That's how you approach everything, whether you know it or not. We don't get that, but from a psychological standpoint, that is how you approach everything. And you don't even realize it. No, I just do this here. No, your behavior says this is who you are. And until you change your behavior, until you start doing the things that you don't want to do that are good, then your behavior that you think nobody sees, everybody sees it. And you can't figure out why they're not coming. That's why they're not coming to you. Because they see your behavior. I'll never forget this. Writing down, I pulled up, watch this, the person didn't even know it, went into the place. I saw something I shouldn't, they fussing or something. They come out and, oh Lord, this Well, your behavior, you just went in to talk to somebody that you were upset with. Did you know that now hits 10 to 15 of 10 to 20 people now? You know what I'm saying, Lenny? Did you know you do something wrong to somebody? What do you think they do? They go out and share it with somebody else. That's 10 to 20 people that gotten what they think of you. And watch this. But you do something good. Isn't that something? But you don't hear hardly nothing. Yes.
But that's the same way with putting forth the effort to come to worship. And then you coming in with low energy.
Yes.
You're not actively involved. What is the purpose of you being there? You sit, you stoic, you're numb, there's nothing to move you. And it's not the people per se. I can understand that. If you're measuring how your response should be based on the people, I got it. But what about the word?
That's right.
Because at some point being here for whatever period of time, the word is going to hit you somewhere. And it should stir up in you. It should stimulate you. It should motivate you. It should take you outside of yourself. But if you don't have intentions, if you don't have no intentions on going to praise and worship God,
You got it.
Satan going to meet you right there.
You got it.
And he's going to rob you of it
You got it.
and have you go in. If you don't sit in the back, you might sit in the middle, you might sit. But the point is, there's nothing there's nothing that says that there's a spirit about you that is a good soul, number one, or that is actively alive. Let's just say alive. Because if the word, and that's what it says in Hebrew, the word of God is active, it's alive.
Yeah.
It's alive. So if you're dead and you up in here, it should bring you to a point if you allow it to.
So that means you came, you did what this text is saying. Many will say to me, Lord, Lord. So you did this. Somebody told you need to be here Sunday, so you got here. Maybe you didn't get here like you should have gotten here on time, but you got here. So now you come in and you sit down. So now you sit down. And every now and then you say, yes, you have turned your worship into a job. God sees it, it stinks. God is not interested. Watch this. You'd rather go ahead and go home than to come in here and pretending that you want to be a part of worship when God knows your heart. God knows you didn't come in here like you were supposed to. You came in here for whatever reason. Satan, that's what it is, pulled you, stole your joy. Watch this. Before you got up, he stole your joy. He knew what was going on. That's why you struggle with getting out of bed. He stole your joy. Now he wants to keep that joy stolen. But watch this. But you are determined to go to worship. So you go to worship. Satan says, I can back off now. Why do you need to back off now? Because you're going because you feel you have to go. You're not going because you want to praise God.
So you do it body only.
What'd you say?
In body only.
That's it. And I said, and this is where he's at here. This is an in body only. They have done many wonderful things, right? See that? Your Bible said they've done many beautiful things. I heard him say what? He says, they prophesied, boy, they talked about you. Woo, they love me some Jesus. Oh, I love me some Jesus. You can't find them in Bible study. I love me some Jesus. When they show up Sunday, they show up late. I love me some Jesus. God is saying, you are playing games with your own heart. I said this yesterday. We, for some reason or another, do not take God serious. I don't know what happened to Los Angeles other than what Satan said he wanted to do, and that was to lure us to sleep. And we have been lured to sleep. I called a friend of mine, he says down Arkansas. He says, man, we 9,000 strong. I says, what? 9,000.
That's a lot. For
He
Arkansas,
said,
that's a lot.
yes. He says, I teach. I'm one of the teachers down there. I says, wow. How did you all do it? He says, nothing. We just go out and say something. I mean, tell them, hey, here we are. And guess what? They come. He said, they come. No problem. But they come. This is the way we should be a church. That attitude, by the way, he had a beautiful attitude. His attitude was, boy, you know what? I'm getting older now, Warren. He said, but you know what? You know what? As I get older, I get wiser. I know that I need to be serving God. I'm working on this. This is where we should be. Our training of mind should be. Well, you're right. And I'm saying, I would say somebody that's 20 years old, the next day you're older. You keep getting older and older. Our days are numbered. I said, and we keep missing this. Our days are numbered. We don't know when God is going to call us home. We don't know it. But we're acting like we got a few more days. That's why we can have attitudes. That's why we can have bad behavior, right, Calvert? That's why we can have these things. Because we're carrying on like, you know, there's a tomorrow. There's a tomorrow. When God is saying, I promise you no tomorrow. But then when the illness or whatever it is come into your life, then you're calling on that one that you didn't want to serve. That's how crazy that is. Well, Lord, help me. God says, yeah, I'll call him. I'll call him up and get him because he's your little G-O-D. Because the G-O-D, I told you, you are that tree. You're that tree. I look on your tree, I don't see no fruit. I don't see no fruit on your tree. And watch this. And the fruit that was trying to grow rotted out on that tree. It didn't grow quick enough to develop. It was already killed. I told you this is a sad day. By the way, this is not Warren talking. This is Jesus talking. Jesus is giving us a warning on what we're to do. He's not through. I want to say, we saw this, but we love that text. Ooh, I need to work on it. I need to do some things. Well, watch this. He's not through. Watch what he does in 24. He says what?
Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat on that house, and it did not fall.
Guys, here's what I put down. First of all, Jesus made this statement. He says, whoever hears these words of mine. So hearing would be the instructions. This is critical, for a person must heed instructions in order to know how to build a house. He's going to show you how to build a house. He said a person must hear and follow, meaning you must obey the instructions. When you start to build a house, don't they have inspectors? Don't they have codes? Right? What is it?
Contractors.
The framework of a house is what? 16 inches apart, right? Can't be 17 inches. Got to be 16 inches apart. So each 2x4 is 16 inches apart. They got to be 16 inches apart. I wonder why they came up with 16 inches apart. Well, because they're looking at the stress factor of if it's spread any farther, if something comes, it'll move it. It'll knock it back down. But if it's where we told you that don't go no farther, keep it within 16 inches apart, then that will hold, but whatever you put on it, that will hold. Am I right doing it? That will hold. So watch this. These are the instructions. Watch this. How do you think people are having, we got 20 people that died on that limo. What was the problem? Well, the one that came to inspect it said, doesn't pass inspection. It doesn't pass. You can't do it. Are you aware of your vehicle right now? If you have an engine light on that car, are you aware they won't pass it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They won't pass it. And it may not have nothing to do with smog. Nothing to do with it. It's saying that car is telling you something's wrong. And they're saying until you get that engine light off. I'll never forget this. I call myself being slick. I said, I saw an engine light on. I said, click the engine light off. Just click the engine light off. I clicked the engine light off. I took it to go have the car smog. He says, something, it's not passing smog. He says, and there should have been an engine light, but there's no engine light on this car. He says, so all I can tell you, Mr. Thompson, is you're going to have to bring it back. But that engine light will come back on. And when that engine light comes, he knew, you know what I'm saying? And when that engine light comes back on, then you'll be able to know what it is that needs to be fixed on it. Modern technology tells us everything. You got 60% of people who did not listen, and they got 155 miles hurricane that's in Florida right now. Remember that? Right now. So watch this. It was going to hit. They said it was 150 in the ocean. They said by the time it hits, it'll be around 145 miles per hour when it hits land. They told everybody to leave. It didn't change, it increased. When it hit at 155 miles an hour. And the governor says, all we can say is, we did give the people warning. We told them to get out, but they didn't think, they thought just like the North Carolina, they thought it would die down by the time it hit. Well, it didn't die down. And when it hit, it turned up everything. He says, the governor says, all I can say is, once it's passed through, get ready, we should have a large body count.
Yep.
Wow.
Did you hear me? That's what he said, get ready, we should have a large body count.
Yeah, because those people, I was watching them on the news, they were just trying to board up, but they were like in a pub drinking.
Ain't that something?
Stuff.
Ain't that something? I said, but see what I'm saying? They had a warning. We have a warning. God has given us a warning too. What'd you say?
I said, like the man that built his house upon the sand.
Well, watch this. Here's my concern. Do you really think he's talking about a house? Do you really think he's talking about sand? What do you think he's really talking about? He's talking about people. And what is he talking about? How you build. What you have a choice. Either you will take heed to what God has said, or you don't. You just take it for granted, take it light. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Nobody knows. Don't nobody see this. So I'm okay. When God is saying, but I've given you warning. I told you to build your house out of a solid foundation. I told you what was going to hit. By the way, he speaks of what he says is going to hit. Ask yourself, what is it that he's talking about that's going to hit? He says, watch this, he says, what is it? He says, and the rains descended, right? And the floods came, right? And the winds blew, right? And beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. So what are you saying? He says, what you need to understand is, if you had taken heed and obeyed my command, then your foundation, your entering into the kingdom of heaven, you're going to be all right. But if you didn't do this, he says, then trials and tribulations are going to come your way. That's what he's saying. Things that you don't like, they're going to come your way. And what's going to happen is, it's going to tear your house apart. You don't want to hear it. So since you don't want to hear it, what you do is like those people did in Florida. What did you say they did? That they boarded up their houses. They boarded up their houses thinking this is going to be okay. They put sandbags around the houses thinking this is going to be okay. Failing to understand, he says, these rains, these floods, he says these trials, these tribulations, they're going to come into your life. Matthew the 13th chapter is going to have you again. He says these things are going to come. And when these things, why do we think that we're not going to suffer upon the face of this earth? I don't know where we get that from. And When we suffer, I don't know why we don't understand that that was going to happen. Why do we think we're going to go through life and we're not going to have problems? That ain't going to happen. So watch this. He's trying to tell you, Christ is trying to tell you, there's going to be some rain in your life. You need to understand that there's going to be some storms. We ain't talking about some little winds. We're talking about some big winds that are going to come down.
And if fiery trials.
That's it. And if you're not if you're not on that rock is who? Jesus. And if you're not on that rock, that's your foundation. Remember when a builder builds a house, don't they have to set a foundation? Yeah. They go deep down into the ground, and they turn around and put those what you call it, those blocks. They put those blocks, and then they put the pipe in it. You're talking about those. Yeah, the rod. I forgot what you call it. But they put that in it. Then they pour concrete. Yeah, and then they pour cement. Now watch this. That is below level. That's your rock. That's below level. So now, when they get ready to build, they do what? They anchor they anchor those 2x6s. They anchor those onto that which they've already planted. That foundation. So now they anchor it. So then when a lot of times you say, well, that house didn't even go nowhere. It won't go nowhere because it was anchored. Somebody came along and started to teach you false doctrine. You won't go nowhere because you were anchored. Somebody said something that you didn't like. It won't go nowhere because you were anchored. Well, Christ is trying to tell us you need to be anchored in Him. Be anchored in Him. Then watch this. If you're anchored in Him, and watch this, getting back to the fruit. If you're anchored in Him, if you have been planted, if it's been planted deep enough, it ain't going to move. If it's been planted deep enough. A palm tree. A palm tree, when it's planted, you see all the other trees and they spread and tear up the concrete and tear up the sidewalks and stuff like that. You've seen that. But when you deal with a palm tree, she goes down before she goes out. But she goes down. She goes down deep.
Rooted.
Right. She gets real rooted. You see them where they just sway. You just say any moment they're going to snap. And they don't snap because you don't understand how deep that root, how far it went down. Now it's going to spread. But it went so far down in the ground that then when it got deep enough, because it's going to be a 30-foot or a 40-foot tree, it gets down deep enough, then it starts to grow. Then it starts to grow out. Well, as it keeps growing, going up, its roots are doing what? Going down. You see what I'm saying? They keep going down, and they just, little by little, they just keep spreading. So, by the time some storm comes along and those winds are strong, that palm tree is able to bend something terrible.
I've seen that.
Yes, I mean it will bend.
I think it's going to crack.
Any moment now it's going to crack. But it's able to bend. Now your little oak trees and all them other trees, they didn't pull them up out of the ground because they didn't go down deep enough into the ground. So they don't have a good solid foundation. You got a tree right out here that's now trying to grow. Another tree. It's trying to grow. Well, its problem was because its roots aren't deep enough. So it can't search for water. That other tree is down deep enough. So when we water the grass, guess what it gets? It gets water. So it keeps growing. This is what he's talking about with us. We need to be what? Rooted in Christ. We need to be deeply rooted in Christ. Why? Because Satan is going to send you some trials and tribulations out of this world. His goal is to distract you. His goal is to pull you away from Christ. That's his objective. He ain't got no other, what other reason? Ain't no other reasons. I just want to because you're God's greatest creation, I want to destroy you. That's all. I ain't got no other agenda. And what do? I've been around when this was laid. I was around. So Satan made some mistakes too. Hear me. Satan made some mistakes too, and lost a few of those souls that he had. But Satan's been around long enough now where his deception is awesome. And watch this. You're looking for something big. He's giving you something small that you don't even know. You know what? Let me tell you about Teresa. Something small. See what I'm saying? Something small. And you don't even realize it. But all I did was say something small. It's enough now to the individual that you may be talking to about. It may be enough to uproot them out of here. Do you hear me? It may be just enough because they're not solid either. Because they're not solid. And to hear somebody say this about me, well, I don't have to put up with that. Satan says I got a 2 for 1. I knew she wasn't solid, no way. And watch this, and the one I was talking to, he wasn't solid either. So I get a 2 for 1 out of this. I don't have to work on 1 soul, I can work on 2. And didn't even know it. I may be able to carry 3 or 4. Because if she's married, I may be able to carry a husband out of here too. See what I'm saying? This is how Satan works. And so Christ is giving us well ahead of time what the expectations are, what we are to look out for. He's talking about that house. I wrote this down. Sorry, you got your paper, right? I wrote this down. I want you to see this.
7, 15, 20.
Bill 21, 29.
It's a 29. So watch this. He's got, watch this. I'm at hearing instructions. You see it? You don't have it?
We got 15, 20. We don't
So,
have 20.
29 is, because Jim gave it, so it's 29. So watch this. Hearing instructions. I've got a person must hear and follow and obey the instructions. Hearing instructions. A person must hear and build upon what he hears, ever learning the very best materials and methods for construction. Building must always be laying up in store for themselves a good foundation. I guess the times have come. Someone that's building, they just don't go out and say, hey, let's go get a couple of 2x4s. Let's go out and get a couple of 2x6s. And then they just go ahead and build. Not one that's building, because that contractor has to deal with who? There's an inspector that's going to come along. That contractor says, I can throw this thing together in 2 seconds. That inspector says, sorry, that doesn't meet the qualifications.
Yeah, I work.
And you know what they'll do? You know what they're telling you? Tear it down. Tear it all down. Don't even, wait a minute, but all you found was 1. That one they found, they said, tear it down. It will not pass inspection. Oh, you do? And it won't pass inspection. And now you frustrated. I can't believe it. My uncle, I'll never forget, was building a room in this house. And he was doing all this. Now, one thing about it, the instructor says, well, you've overly done it. So what we would normally tell you to do is tear it down. But because you've put so much enforcement upon this, we're going to let it stay. This can stay. Because this is not going nowhere. Because you've added, so whoever you've been talking to, they shouldn't have told you to add this and add that. So what you've done is you've added extra material that wasn't needed. It came out of your pocket. Yeah, what'd you say, Dwayne?
He was lucky.
A lot of times they'll tell you tear it down still. That's right. I'm trying to tell you, because they're saying it will not pass inspection. And if it doesn't pass inspection, or if something happens, it's not the contractor, they go out to the inspector. And the inspector's the one that gets sued. They're the ones that get that lawsuit. And all of a sudden now they don't know what to do, what in the world, what happened. But buy a home, I think you know what I'm talking about. You buy a home, I don't know about you, when I went in to buy a home, you got to get somebody to mortgage that, right? That bank is saying, whatever you say, I don't like the way that ceiling look, that's written down. They write that down.
They inspect
Oh, huh?
it. They inspect it.
That's right, because you're in with an inspector. That inspector, you're walking with that inspector, and you're saying, well, I see a stain on that roof, on that ceiling, and I don't know if that's or what kind of water, what damage that is. Watch this, that's written down. As you're walking through, now he's going to see stuff that you don't see, the inspector. But he's letting you do your own physical walk. I know I even said at the time, I don't like that carpet look like it could be cleaned. Whatever I said when we were walking through, because that's a new home, I didn't like it. So I started, next thing you know now, and I don't like the wall need to be painted, but that's written. All that's written. So watch this. So then they're asking me, so when do you want to move in? We said, well, the sooner the better. They says, well, 30 days? At 30 days. Okay, then 30 days. Watch this. They send me everything that I said plus what they saw. And then the bank says, we will not sign off, right? Am I wrong? The bank says, we will not sign off until all of this is completed. And watch this. And it has to be approved. You know what I'm talking about? And it has to be approved. It's got to be approved. Watch this. Well, the inspector approved it. No. It's got to be approved. And you also got to say, yeah, I'm okay with it. You're signing off saying, yes, I agree. They did paint that. Yes, I agree. They fixed that. Watch this. Those things that you're not aware of, and the inspector is doing them, the inspector then needs to sign off saying, yes, there was no damage in the roof, in the attic. There was no damage. It was just water damage, but it was a little water that came off outside the air conditioner, the floor. So there's really no damage. Well, stop and think about it. This is a building that is intending to stay up for years. I watch HGTV and they find homes 100 years old. You know what I'm saying? 100 years old. And I'm telling the people, don't buy it! Don't buy it! Please don't buy it! And they're going through it and looking through it. And then they finally send an inspector and he comes through and he says, well, I dug into this and I noticed you got plumbing problems. Huh? That's why you don't buy a 100-year-old house. Cause the pipes. Those are galvanized, right? Galvanized pipes. So they're going to go bad. Well, you don't know it because you just moved in. I didn't know no better after I moved in. And so when I was the garage door, the opener and closer. And so I didn't know no better. So I spent my $300 to have it done. I didn't know no better. I think something was wrong with the door. And I spent my money to go replace that. I said, this is crazy, all this money. I was just happened to be talking to the neighbor and he says, what do you mean you bought a garage door? What do you mean you changed the door out? And I says, yeah, it wasn't, so I changed it out. I can do that. I know how to do all this stuff, so I can do all that. He said, but you didn't have to. I said, what are you talking about I didn't have to? He says, you have homeowners insurance. I said, what? He says, yeah, pull your contract. You got homeowners insurance. And they repair all of this stuff. Now I've got to add in my tube because I didn't spend all this money when I didn't have to. Well, watch this. Christ is trying to tell us, build your house. Build it on a solid foundation. Build it. And it ain't going to go nowhere. So when these things that distract you, these things that cause Satan is coming. When he comes to talk to you, he wants to talk to you one-on-one. He wants to deceive you one by one. And he's hoping because that you're weak enough, that your foundation wasn't strong enough so that you'll leave. And you walk away, and I've heard too many people say, no, you don't understand. No, it wasn't you, Pastor. You didn't cause any of these problems. I just felt I needed to go somewhere else. That person's foundation was no good. And so what did they do? They left, only to find this. I leave, I go somewhere else. But watch this. But you go to a larger church, and you say, well, shoot, they don't do any of this while I'm here. This is great. They don't do anything. This is really good. I know a few people. Then something happens to you, and the preacher don't even know who you are. I'm trying to tell you. Or something happens to you and your family, and is brought to the preacher's attention. He says, I want everybody to know Cheryl has had a mishap, and let's all pray for her. That prayer ain't no more genuine than a man in the moon. Because he don't know who you are. You're just another somebody. Watch this. Or there's problems that you're having. And you say, you know what, I don't have to put up with this. I'll leave and go somewhere else. Don't bother him. Right, don't bother him. Because guess what, as you walk out, there's another soul coming in. So, I said in the banking world, I remember we had one particular customer that was just ugly. But they had well over $100,000 sitting in the bank. Watch this. So in order for me so that I don't create a problem, I now got to call big bosses and tell them what's going on. You know what they told me? You tell them, apparently we can't accommodate you. Maybe it's best that you go ahead and take your money and move on. Watch this. The person is irate, right? I say, I'll use it, Teresa, could you please, I'm going to give you this account number. Could you please close this out and make a check? Well, they're thinking, well, you take the hit, because this is well over $100,000. When we're like, that's nothing. Because watch this, as you're walking out the door, there's another one coming in that's trying to figure out, what kind of rate you got. And we quote a compatible rate. It's compatible. They said, well, okay, I'll go and open the account. So your little $100,000 that just walked out, we turn around and picked up $200,000 or $300,000. So it's another thing. This is what I'm saying. A lot of times we don't see it when we see larger churches. They don't have these problems. Yes, they do. They have the same problem small churches have.
That's right.
Small churches, just because they're small, that's why you hear it. Yes.
One of my friends goes to, I'm just going to say that large one with Crenshaw, Sister Cameron's on.
Los Angeles?
Yes.
Oh.
I trying to keep a hold of that.
Go ahead.
But at any rate, she took all kind of holes in there now. And they lost a lot of members too.
Okay, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. See how crazy this is? This is what we miss. But I said, so what do? We said, well, I'll vacate. I don't have to put up with this. I'll just go somewhere else. Go where? Go where? Where are you going? You're just going to go somewhere else where somebody else is at. And eventually, well, guess what? The same person that you are, because it's you, and you don't even realize it, the same person that you are, it's going to surface again somewhere else. We got a certain gentleman that we had to remove out of the church. But guess what? I've been told what the elders and deacons are doing is trying to get him some help. We were too. So what's going to happen? So what's going to happen? You're right. He's going to finally say, thank you, no, I don't want that. And then what's he going to do? Then he's going to create eventually a fuss, go off, and guess what? He's going to leave again. She said, I don't understand it. It's who you are. That's your MO. It doesn't change because you go somewhere else. It's the same old MO. Well, this is what Jesus is trying to tell you. Many on that day will say, Lord, Lord, did I not prophesy in your name? Yes, you did. Did I not do many wonderful things in you? Yes, you did. Did I not perform miracles? Yes, you did. You did all these beautiful things. By the way, who are you? Isn't that a sad day? Isn't that a sad day? By the way, depart from me because I never knew you. What are you? This is what he's talking about. This is your house. Do you eat it? Watch this. Some of us need to go ahead and put some TNT under our house and blow it up and start all over again. Some of us. Then there's a few that you need a few tweaks. Then there are some that just need to, watch this, just need to acknowledge. We were talking about this morning. You just need to acknowledge where you're wrong. Acknowledge it. Accept it. Because until you accept it, you will always have an attitude. You will always be mad when somebody says something that pertains to you. What's pertaining to you is guilt. That's what it is. That's why it bothers you, because you're guilty of it. Well, Jesus is trying to let us see that's your house. That is your house. What are you going to do with your house? I told them, I says, I'm doing something right now that I didn't think I would probably have to do for a long time. I'm actually praying for my enemies now. I'm actually praying for my enemy. And I'm not praying God get them. I'm praying God have mercy on them. But God, watch this. But God, whatever your will is, let it be done. So then what are you saying? I'm not removing the discipline. I'm not, watch this, it's your will. Whatever you, if punishment is what's needed, discipline is what's needed, let your will be done. So we see all these things that took place, right? In all this we see, right? Watch this. So we see all this. I put this down. This is critical for selecting, deciding the material to determine the future of the house. A person built upon a solid rock. There is only one foundation. You already heard me talk about the rock. 1 Corinthians 3:11. Then you've heard me say, a person must make sure of his call and choice to build. 2 Peter 1:10. You pull them. A person must know that they're building upon a rock. That they're building upon a rock, and it takes time and skill. And the beginning and not finishing the house brings mockery. It's a shame when you got something almost built and you look stupid. It's a shame. You didn't run out of money. You didn't run out of material. You didn't run out of love. You didn't run out of being phony. This is why I'm taking this other stuff and putting it where a person is. Somebody now can read you. They're not laughing at you. They now know what your intentions were. Your intentions weren't right, and God exposed them. That which is hidden in the what? Dark, he says, shall do what? It's going to surface. It's going to surface. So now you finally see what's going on. So Jesus makes all the sense in the world. Then I want you to see this. Now it's time for Jesus to come off that mountain. He'd been on that mountain from 5 to 7, right? From Matthew 5 to 7. I want you to see this. Tell me if it's going to work. I'm going to try.
Should. Are we starting 8?
Yep. Watch this. Do they have 8?
No.
Well, you should give them 8.
Well, I was waiting for us to start it.
How come everyone?
You gotta have it up. The blue's on. Is the blue steady?
No.
It is now.
No, it's not.
Thanks, Jim.
No.
Okay, now come on. No. Should
Now I
have
want you to see this. The one I want you to see this too. Oh, beautiful.
Oh, come on.
There's my house.
It's coming. Oh, the laptop?
Yeah, that's my house. Look at at her, look how clear and clean it is. Jim, we worked on it, and he said, I bet it's got sometime where you can turn that lens up. And he found out on this. So you got your papers, right? Your 8 says what? Chapter 8 says what?
When he had come down from the mountain, great multitude followed him.
When he come down from the mountain, you said
When
8.
he had come
Verse 1.
down from the mountain, great multitude followed him.
So guys, watch this. You need to see this. What has Jesus spoke on? And whatever he has spoken on, do you think they liked it? You better know it. The Jews were upset. Those Pharisees and those Sadducees were highly upset. Those scribes were highly upset. Now Jesus comes down from the mountain. Your 7, watch this. Your 7, I want you to see this. Your 7:29 said, 28 says this in your text. Says what?
And so it was,
Come on,
when Jesus had ended these sayings,
come on.
that the people were astonished at his teaching.
They could not believe his teachings. Hold on. Then he says what?
For he taught them taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes.
So he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. The scribes are what?
Writers.
The scribes are what?
The teachers.
Law
Yeah, what?
They're law writers.
They're law writers, they're lawyers.
Lawyers.
And so watch this. So now you've got the scribes who are highly upset behind what Jesus has said. Why are they upset? Because their laws said this. Jesus says, although it has been said, but I say.
I guess they said, you got a lot of nerve.
Can you imagine? Right, and really that's it, Teresa. The nerve of him, he's going to come in here and change the law. But Jesus did not change the law.
Came to fulfill.
But watch this.
Clarify.
But if he came to fulfill, but that law was changed. No, the law wasn't changed. What the problem was, the law was misread. The law was misunderstood. All I can think is 5:27, that's the one I always use. Go to Matthew 5:27. I think it's 27 or 29. Your Bible says,
You have heard that it was said,
you have heard that it was said.
do not commit adultery.
Come on.
But I tell you,
But, wait a minute, but what? But I tell you, huh? Wait a minute, Jesus, you're changing the law. But I tell you what?
that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his
Listen to
heart.
what he's saying. So then, what was their understanding of the law?
They were just thinking as long as, if it's just physical.
They had to be caught in the act.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
They had to be caught in the act.
Well, he says, but it's been said that I say if a man looks, he's already committed
Yeah.
adultery. So you're saying, one say they had to be caught in the act. I don't agree with that either.
No. Okay.
What he's saying is,
Gonna swing
the
to
law
right.
says, if I don't, I can look all I want. What'd you say?
Just don't touch.
Just don't touch.
Well,
So when she come down the street, woo, Lord have mercy. Look at here. I didn't touch her. So I'm okay to look at her lustfully.
Right.
And it's the same way with, we talk about men, but women do the same thing now. Girl, did you see him? Did you see him? Lord have mercy, I want that. I'm going to get me some of that. Gacia will tell you, because we experienced some of that. Me and Rico was talking about that today. that you had brought up. And he even gave her name.
Oh, wow.
He sure did. He says, and he was aware of it. I said, you got him? And he says, no. She said, I'm going to get him.
Yeah, she did.
I'm going to get him. That is bold. But that is the way people are today. This is what I see. I'm going to get it. I pursue it. I'm going to go after it. Well, Jesus is trying to bring something to our attention. And that's something that he's bringing to our attention was, he says, but I say. What do you say? But what do you say? He says, but I say. Poor King Lord.
Stop, I'm tired, I'm so tired. Continue, please.
But yeah, you were reading it.
But I say,
I'm rubbing
But
my
I
eye
say
because it's
you-
irritated.
that whoever looks at a woman
But whoever looks at a woman
to lust for her
to lust for her.
has already committed adultery with her in his heart.
So here's what we do to counter that. We say then that is considered, has to be premeditated. That's what we're saying. I was out at 3 o'clock working on my car, and this girl came by, and she's beyond, she in the shorts or whatever. We got one right now in this neighborhood, right? In this neighborhood. And when she comes by, she's exposed. Everything that a man want to dream about, is she's exposed herself, and she does it often. Wait a minute. And watch this. So what do? So you time it and wait for her to come again. There's your premeditated. The first time she came through, you didn't expect that. And what you saw was inviting. What you actually saw was inviting. You said, Lord, I sure would like to spend some time with her. But that's not what he's talking about. So a lot of times we throw that out. If that's the case, then we need to pluck all our eyes out. Because you're bound to see somebody that's going to capture your attention lustfully. So that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about something that's premeditated. Well, now I know she comes again at 3 o'clock, so I'm going to make sure that I'm out there to watch her come back again. Now it's premeditated. Now I'm looking lustfully at someone. So they've got a problem because Jesus, in their mind, is changing their law. When Jesus is not changing the law, he's clarifying the law.
So
The law remains. What'd you say? Question?
what's the difference between attraction and lust? So if I'm attracted to you, if I find you attractive, it's like two people. They go to work on a Monday.
Okay.
One person works on floor 52. The other person works on floor 51. And the gentleman sees a young lady that he's attracted to, vice versa.
Absolutely
So-
nothing wrong.
Okay. I was
Absolutely
just trying to get
And
clarification
here's
between
my-
attraction and lust.
And watch this, and here's my point too, because every time I have to, or I go to a counselor or work with someone, I bring it to their attention. You didn't see her because she was looking at her mind.
Right.
You didn't see him because he was looking at his mind.
I
Oh
sure
Lord,
did.
you got a beautiful mind.
That's on no.
You saw that body.
I sure did.
That's what you saw.
You're absolutely right.
And you said, Lord have mercy, I sure want that body. So watch this, that's your attraction. Now,
That's what I'm saying.
but that's real. But
I'm
that's
being
real.
real. You're absolutely
That's
right.
right.
Because
So-
I can't see nobody just looking at my mind because you don't know my mind.
You got it. So then that person comes up to you and say, hi, how are you? Why are you racing up to me to say hi, how are you? Because when I saw, I like the package. It's well put together. I like the package. Well, watch this. Are you lusting after that person? I have a strong desire. I ain't gonna turn her down like we used to say back in the days for eating crackers in bed.
What?
It's okay, but you know, okay. But you hear me? But you hear me? what I'm saying. You say, watch this. So what do? What you're saying is, God does not want us to see this. That's bull. God made you male and female. God has told you to multiply the face of the earth. God has told you. So God, watch this. So this person comes your way. It is for you to restrain yourself. It is for you to recognize this is a woman and not just a body.
We have the thing what you call pheromones. Pheromones.
Yeah.
That give
Yeah.
off.
Right,
Give
so,
off.
right, you
Yeah.
give off pheromones, but he gives off hormones. So
Yeah.
it don't matter. Both of those, whether you know it or not, they're there. Your pheromones are coming to him saying, she likes me. His hormones are coming to you. You don't even smell this, but it's there.
Yeah.
And it's in the air. And you're saying, okay, so wow, this was nice. Now it's up to you to manage that. It's up to you to say, but what do? We must not find ourselves in a bedroom.
Sounds like the initial.
We have got to get to know one another. So now you take the time to get to know that person. I've always made that statement.
No, they don't.
When I don't want to get to know you, I saw what I like, you saw what you like, so let's get it on. I watch this. But my friends used to say this all the time, do you know her name? Man, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. I don't know her name. You lying to me. Well, you got her telephone number. Come to think of it, I didn't. Well, how you going to get in touch with her? Well, she'll call me, I guess, or she'll get in touch with me if she wants to. You said, that's crazy talk. It sure is. But when you're out there in the world doing stupid stuff, that's stupid stuff. Because you could have caught a disease out of this world and don't know it. That's stupid stuff. But you don't, you got to, you don't know. I can even remember telling one of my buddies, man, now, she was hot. She, come on, you got to, I said, hey, hold up. Let me go upstairs, I'll get you the number. You gonna give me the number? Yeah, but it ain't gonna work this way. Hold on, let me give her a call to let her know. I got somebody that thinks you all that. What are you doing? It's sex, guys. It ain't no big thing. Today they call it friends with
Benefits.
Come on.
Or hooking up.
Yeah, hooking up. I ain't trying to get that. So you ain't trying to get that. I ain't trying to spend no time trying to know you. You ain't trying to spend. Look, let's do what we're going to do. If it was great, right on. If it wasn't, then you know what? We won't see one another no more. That is more prevalent today than it was in my days.
Yeah.
It is more real today than it was when I was coming along.
And they was chivalry back in the day.
Yes, well, you were
It's
nice
still
about it.
Chivalry still exists.
I'm just saying it was a lot more chivalry back in the day. At least the guy would try and bring flowers or try to
Yes.
impress
They don't
you
have
and
to do
stuff. Huh?
They don't have to do that.
Not
I
today
ain't got those in the door.
because you have so many hot women out there
Yeah.
who are doing the chasing now.
Right.
40 ready.
So that's
What'd you
just
say?
the chivalry away.
40 ready.
40 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bring your 40 on that 16 ounce.
Like he's saying, 40
And today, the guys from they're expecting for the woman to chase.
Or watch this. If I'm spending money on you, I got to return.
They don't even have to do that.
Well, and I'm just saying, because I was just the opposite. I ain't going to spend no money. I'm telling the truth. I ain't going to spend no money. Why? Because you want what I want, and I want what you want. So why would you?
That? It's like
Why would you?
you took me out to dinner. I don't got to give you nothing.
Well, that would be, watch this, that's your attitude. That ain't the attitude today.
No, it's not.
Today is, you know what? You're right. We don't, watch this, you don't have to. Because we don't even have to go to the movies.
Nope.
We can go where we want to go and do. I made the
We go
statement,
and
and I'm not joking on this. You go to the day club now and find them all day long.
Am I lying? in my life.
You go to the day club and find them all day long.
You don't have to
You
do
used to
that.
go
You
to
find
run,
them at work. You go during lunchtime, you have your business, and you come back.
like you said.
Wow.
I'm telling, like, seriously, and this
Like you
is me
said.
listening to these millennials. This is what they do.
This
They
is
like, it's nothing.
Oh, he's hot. Oh, he's
Yeah,
hot.
it's
Oh,
nothing.
okay, yeah, let's.
Let me get it before my homegirl does. And I'll tell, and then I'm gonna come back and tell her what it was like. That's what they do.
It's real. It's real. Then you see how chaotic this world is? You see how sickening this is? And ain't nobody reading Matthew 7. Ain't nobody reading Lord, Lord.
You're absolutely right.
See what I'm saying? Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Why? Because that would stifle what I do and how I live. That would stifle. It says that he spoke as one with authority. He didn't speak as one with authority. He spoke as one that is authority. He wasn't telling you, well, I'm speaking on behalf of this. He says, I'm speaking on behalf of me. I'm telling you, I'm the one that will judge you in the end. I'm the one that's going to judge you in the end. I'm giving you my rules and regulations for you to enter into the kingdom of heaven. I'm giving them to you. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just thought of something. You know, we were talking about, you know, the women gives out pheromones.
Pheromones.
Pheromones. I can't say that word.
Pheromones.
And the men have hormones, right? Okay, so that when women and women, how do you attract another pheromone? I mean, that's totally
Because
against
Romans 1,
nature. I mean,
8, go
that's-
there.
that
Romans 1.
right there is totally against nature.
Romans 1, you go see one.
The dogs do it all the time.
Yeah.
Romans 1.
Keep running, though.
I only know this because he and I have.
Paul, a servant of Christ.
I tried to
Jesus Christ.
rebuttal with the pheromone.
What'd you say?
I told him you and I had this conversation. I tried to rebuttal with the pheromone. You was like, you just kept shooting me down.
Okay. Hormones. Amen. He says in
26.
21, he says, because although they knew God, see it?
Yeah.
1:21. Because although they knew God, they did not
Glorify him,
ask God. Keep reading.
nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened.
Keep going.
Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal men and birds and animals and reptiles.
Come on.
Therefore, God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexually impurity for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised.
Now read.
Amen.
No, read.
Because of this, God gave them
Because of this, God gave them.
over to shameful lusts.
Come on.
Even their women exchanged natural relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed indecent acts with one another and received in themselves the due penalty for their perversions.
So how did this happen? Teresa? Your answer is 24.
They,
God gave them up.
Once God gives you up, sugar, you're in trouble.
Desires.
Watch this.
Simple.
You want to go after another woman, God's giving you up. God, so you don't even see it as wrong no more. That's why they can hold hands and go down the street. That's why we was in a restaurant and one of the girls reached over and kissed the other guy. I said, hey, let's go. She said, what? I said, let's go. I said, I ain't got time for that garbage. I'm not going to sit around here and watch that garbage. I said, because I'm going to say something. I know what they say, you know, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be making statements. You know, people have their own prayer. I have a God I have a God, and I will stand up for my God. Your acts are wrong. You can't produce a baby, so your acts are wrong. You can never be satisfied, so your acts are wrong. Whether that's woman versus woman or man versus man, you can't be satisfied. You say, well, no, you can't. Why? Because God, you can see how you were built. You weren't built a certain way. So you can stop, but I'll never forget it. We had a party many years ago, and this girl, she was lesbian, and I was the one that threw the party. And anyway, it was all having a good time, drinking and the whole bit. And anyway, I went over to talk to the other girl, which would be her girlfriend, I guess. And so I'm over there talking to her, and we just, she was really, I know her. And she comes over to look at me like, you need to back off, this is mine. I'll never forget, I have a friend, or I had a friend, he's about 6'2", 6'3". He was muscular, wasn't a word. He was probably about 300-something pounds, and I mean, arms was this big. I mean, just huge, a mammoth of a man. And she came over, and I'm the one that's the crazy one. I'll go after you in a hot second. I will go after you in a hot second. That was me. You don't walk up on me and then think it's going to be all right, because I'll turn around and slap you. I'll turn around and go after you. Well, my friend, when this came, he saw it. He immediately came over to me and said, hey, you come on, man, you going to be all right? I says, no, I didn't have the best language then. Hear me, the best language. So I said, what he is. He said, I said, because I'll take this. If he gonna act like a man, then we can work. We can go ahead and bounce like men. We can go ahead and feel this is what we're gonna do. Men gonna be men, then let's be men. And she has the nerve to say something to him. He says, Warren, leave this alone. Back off. He says, I know you didn't say anything to me. She said it again to him. It was so funny. He reached over, picked her up. She was fussing and going, walked her, while she was in the air, walked her out and threw her over my balcony. So we don't have to worry about that no more.
Whoa.
I just said.
You were over the balcony. How many floors we
I'm
got?
on the second floor. But the bottom line, I'm trying to tell you this, the dude's arms were like the legs. Okay, that's how thick the dude was. This guy was benching like 5 something when he would ask me to come back. And I mean, the dude was beyond strong. And he just couldn't believe it. And she was, and believe me, she was like trying to, she gonna try to hit him and stuff. And he covered that distance from her where she couldn't, and she started to kick him. And then when she kicked him, that's when he just said, well, we don't have to worry about that no more. And then the other girl, he said, you don't have to go nowhere. We got you. We'll take care of you. She's ready to go now. No, you stay. You hang out with us. Don't worry about her. We saw her get up, dust herself off. We saw her limping away. But we said, no, you can't. You're not going to go anywhere. He said, what in the world? This is what I'm talking about. She really believes she was a man. You know what I'm saying? That's what she really believed. And I said, and I told him, I said, you're nice. I said, I'm going to knock her out. She going to act like a man? Then I'm going to knock her out. Since she going to, we'll bounce like it. That's what we're going to do. And he says, no. Like I said, he was, because he's always been around me, because he know I was very violent. I'd be violent in a minute on him. And he was like, cool. I mean, just as calm, cool, level-headed, always calm and cool. I was the one that would always stir up some mess. But your Bible says God gave them over. Once God gives you over, who can change it? Something to think about it. If God says, then you believe you have hormones, then I'll let you believe you have hormones. You see what I'm saying? If that's what you believe, then I'll let you have that. doesn't make it right, but this is what God said. He also said in 2 Thessalonians 2, 8 through 11. He says what? He says, and God will produce what? A delusion. He will bring about a delusion. If you want to believe a lie, God says, then I will produce that delusion. I'll make you believe that what you're doing is right. This is the danger, guys, that I'm trying to show you all in this Matthew 7, when he's talking about many, many on that day. Many, many. These are people that believed what they were doing was right for God. They really believed what they were doing was right for God. And God says, but I don't know you. I don't even know you. But I did this in your name, and I did that. They watch this, and God says, and you don't understand, I've already produced a strong delusion upon you. Because you didn't want to transform. You want to remain conformed. That's why I said, we as Christians, we have an obligation. We have a duty. God wants us to meet that duty. If we don't meet that duty, we're that tree with that bad fruit. That's what he's talking about. We're that tree with that bad fruit. And bad fruit, anybody want some bad fruit? Stop and think about it. This is what he's talking about. So we've got to produce good fruit so people can see. Because I told you, I'm looking at this, and we'll have to end, but I'm looking at this. Jesus is going to come off of that mountain. He's been sitting down the whole time giving a sermon. Didn't say how many hours, and didn't say how many days. But we read from Matthew 5 through Matthew 7, and he was giving these instructions. I don't know if I'd have been there, I probably would have been trying to write them down, because this is Lord. He is Master. He's trying to tell us how to live. Somebody's going to give me instructions on how to get to heaven. Think about this, guys. There's no Bible. Think about it. All you have is scrolls of the Old Testament. Everything that Jesus says is New Testament. It becomes our New Testament. So, wow, we certainly need to jot this down, because Jesus is trying to tell us how we should live under grace. How we should live under grace. And when we don't take advantage of it, those people were killed when they didn't do what God asked them to do. We're under grace. God is trying to tell us, I'm doing everything to save your souls. I was taking them out right then and there. I'm not taking you out right then and there. What I'm doing is giving you chance, opportunity after opportunity to come to me, to stop living like you're living. Or you have a choice. You can live like you want to live. But on that day when we have to roll your casket down that aisle, that's going to be a sad day. If God could let us see that person's going to hell. Think about it. If God could let us see that person is so uncomfortable, we say, wait a minute, let me think about this. But God gives us no clues as to how heaven or hell is. When we die, we're stiff as a board. When we die, if somebody put a smile, well, he's smiling, that mortician did a good job. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a good job, because that doesn't tell you that person has entered into the kingdom of heaven. That means that mortician did a good job to make it. My concern is that soul. Where did that spirit go now that body that's been to go back into the earth and become earth? Where did you go? I think about a lot of my people that have left this world today. Where are they? Where's my mother? Where's my father? Where are my two sisters? What's going on? Where's my uncles? Are they in heaven? Are they trying to tell me, don't come here? We have a choice. What are we going to do? We're going to keep living like we want to live? Or do we say, like I told you all, my prayers now are, even for my enemies, thy will be done. Thy will be done. I'm sorry we didn't get to 8, but I just want to turn this on for a reason, because I wanted Dwayne to see we got